back with the J-Boy to continue his drivel. Let's see what he has to say.
God chooses Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
See what he said? God chooses Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's see if this is actually true. Okay? Now here's in chapter 11. Okay? This is Genesis chapter 11. We read, and these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abraham, Noah, and Aaron begot Lot. And Aaron died during the lifetime of Terah, his father, in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldees. And what is the Jewish commentary says, that tells us the account, he died on account of his father. For Terah complained about Abraham his son before Nimrod for crushing his idols. So Nimrod cast Abraham into a fiery furnace. And Aaron said, okay, we don't have to know that, but we see that Abraham didn't worship idols. So Abraham knew God from the beginning. Okay, so Abraham chose God, not God chose Abraham, as this lying little idol worshiper says. Okay, because we see in the next verse, here's chapter 12. Now the Lord said unto Abram, this is the first time the Lord spoke to Abram. Why? Because he had sought God already and crushed the idols and did not believe in the idols. Okay, so let's hear more of his drivel. Before we go on, I just want to make another point. Genesis chapter 1. Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. Why was he hovering? He was looking for someone to seek him, and that was Abraham. That's why the Jewish nation, that's why it started from Abraham, because Abraham sought the Lord. Okay, not like this liar says.
Lasting dynasty. And it is here where the messianic idea starts to come into clear focus. That ultimately there would be a king. There would be a descendant of David. And this king will rule and reign the entire world. And in fact,
did the J-Boy rule over the entire world?
In a time of universal peace.
Did the J-Boy bring universal peace?
Some of the famous texts in Scripture.
I don't think so. He's going to tell you the second time it has to come. We'll see about that.
Or they'll beat their swords into plowshares, and nation will not know war anymore. These are messianic texts. These are talking about in this future time, when the Messiah comes, the Son of David, that there will be universal knowledge of God. The Lord's put in Isaiah the 11th chapter. The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the seas. This is all.
So he just admitted now that God said that there'll only be knowledge of the true Creator throughout the world only when the Messiah comes. Okay? So what is he saying before? What is he saying over there before that God had done nothing? Wasn't supposed to do anything. He just made the prophecy that it'll be when the Messiah comes. Okay, let's hear more.
Promised. Now, what do we know about this King David? What's unique about him? Well, obviously he's a man who greatly loves God. He has some significant failures and flaws along the way, but because God's promised a lasting dynasty through him and through his seed, God's going to keep his word even if David fails.
Okay. David didn't fail, and David didn't have any significant flaws. This Mamza is a lying little devil. And if he'll debate me, I'll prove it. But he won't debate me because he knows we'll beat him, or any Christian.
But there's some interesting things that David did. Remember, in ancient Israel, there was a clear division between the kingship and the priesthood. In ancient Israel, the king could not go and do what a priest did. So there was a man named Uzziah, one of the kings of Judah, and he went into the temple to offer up incense like the priest did, and he's immediately smitten, and his hand becomes leprous, or smitten with a severe skin disease. But it's interesting that we see David doing a number of things that only priests would normally do, or that priests would primarily do. For example, when he brings back the Ark of the covenant to Jerusalem. It tells us the account in 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter, and how he danced before the Lord, celebrating, wearing a linen ephod, which the priests would wear. This is what he's wearing.
Okay, he says that because he was wearing a linen ephod, he must be a priest. Let's see if that's true or not. He said, remember, linen ephod. Okay, here we see in Exodus chapter 28, verse 6, and thou shalt make the ephod of gold, of blue, and purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen, the work of the skillful workmen. So this was a priestly garment. A ephod was a garment of linen, was not a priestly garment. If a priest were to wear just an ephod of linen and go do the work in the thing, he would be disqualified to work in the temple, which is the linen ephod. It had to be gold, blue, and purple. So he was not acting as a priest, David, as this liar claims. Also, we see in Samuel's chapter 2, verse 18, but Samuel ministered before the Lord, being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Okay? He ministered before the Lord. He wasn't a priest. So anyone could wear ephod. Ephod was a garment. If you did it, it wasn't made out of gold, purple, whatever it had to be. It only had to be that specification, which was for the temple. And temple also says you should wear pants. Okay? And if you go see later on, it says you should wear pants. So anyone who wears pants is automatically a priest. Well, fine. We can look it up. You can look it up by yourselves.
When the people and the plague is stopped, that he actually builds an altar and then offers up sacrifices. It's an amazing account, and the way it's written, the way it's laid out in 2 Samuel 24 and 1 Chronicles 21, it's clear that David's actually offering sacrifices. You're not supposed to do that. Priests are supposed to do.
Okay, he claims that priests were not supposed to. Only priests were supposed to offer up sacrifices, and not. So let's see exactly what it says over here. Okay, during the period of the Mishkan was in Novan, the great bummer was given. The allowance of bummers was enforced, and therefore everyone was permitted to offer individual sacrifices outside the Mishkan during the period. The altar in the Mishkan was used for offering of communal sacrifices, and this continued until the dedication of the temple during the days of Shlomo. So they didn't have the temple then. You can read it over here in this. People were allowed to offer individual sacrifices on their own before the temple of Solomon was built. So this guy is a liar and doesn't know anything about Judaism when he says, oh, only priests were then allowed to do it. That was only once the temple was built, then no one was allowed to build the altar. So again, we prove him a liar.